When you attend a funeral, it is sad to think that sooner or later those you love will do the same for you. And you may have thought it tragic, not to mention other adjectives, to think of all the weeping they will do. But don't you worry, no more ashes, no more sackcloth, and an armband made of black cloth will someday nevermore adorn a sleeve. For if the bomb that drops on you gets your friends and neighbors too, there'll be nobody left behind to grieve, and we will all go together when we go. What a comforting fact that is to know. Universal bereavement and inspiring achievement. Yes, we all will go together when we go. We will all go together when we go. All suffused with an incandescent glow. No one will have the endurance to collect on his insurance. Lloyds of London will be loaded when they go.
Of course, to hear Bill Gates tell it, we don't really need to worry about nuclear war, which Tom Lehrer was advising us, how there's going to be nobody left to grieve behind when we all go together. But rather it should be a pandemic. He's been giving symposia on this for decades. He's also an advocate of world depopulation. He's an enthusiast for vaccines. I regard him as one of the big three in the brain trust, Hillary Clinton, Anthony Fauci, and Bill Gates, where it turns out Anthony Fauci in 2017 was predicting that Trump would have to deal with a surprise pandemic during his administration. How can it be a surprise if Anthony Fauci can predict it in 2017? How can he not know it's coming? How can it not therefore be a planned event? And this woman, Blix, who's also a spokesman for the White House, turns out to have had her medical license expire. Well, this and many other issues are going to be on the agenda with my guest today, Dave Johnson, who has a background in the U.S. Navy and electronics. In various related activities, he has a YouTube channel, Dave J, of his own, and he comes highly recommended by another guest on the show, Dave. It's great to have you here on The Raw Deal.
All right, thanks. Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
You can take off anywhere you want, my friend. I mean, I've been told you are a guy with a lot of thought behind everything you say.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, you were talking about fear at the beginning, and that's the big thing. Don't worry about it. There's nothing to fear as far as your life. Your life goes when your creator takes it. So then as far as these hoaxes that are going, here's the big thing. We're living with the reaction to a false story or a false narrative. So they gave us a false narrative. They said that this virus is out to get you, this invisible boogeyman. And then they gave you all these different steps they wanted you to perform, and people are performing them. But it's the idea of people, they are controlled by their fear of death. And in fact, if they are followers of Christ, which I am, they should understand that they need to fear that second death, not this death, not this bodily death. The idea of the second death, meaning you need to be right with God when you go. You need to not be.
Now, Dave, as my audience knows, I, as an agnostic, alas, don't have that theological comfort to aid me in these times of stress. I do believe, however, in the adage that God helps those who help themselves. So I'm very keen on what we can do to deal with the present situation, because we appear to be on the same track and complete agreement that this is a planned pandemic. This is
absolutely
not a spontaneous development, and that it's a political event rather than a medical emergency.
Okay, but let me even go even farther than that. I want to take you to the root of all of this. So the root of politics, the root of fear. It's the idea of the thought, or the beginning of the thought. Where did that thought come from? Where did the idea that I should be afraid come from? So now if I can isolate that and reduce it to a numbered form, and I call it the mind computer. I have it labeled 1 through 9, with the input being labeled 1 and 0, or IO, which most people can see is on or off. Meaning that when you get up to this scale, this idea of bringing an idea into your temple or into your mind, you get to the point of, do I want to believe it? Do I want to give it a home? That means, do I turn that 1 on? That's a 911 story. So these 911 stories you see throughout history, the idea of 2001, September 11th, that idea of the controlled demolition of towers coming down. It's the idea of 2 becoming 1. It's the idea of 9/11 with the Pearl Harbor. That was a 9/11 hoax, meaning it was a controlled event. It was planned, and it happened.
We certainly agree that 9/11 was an orchestrated event by my brought to us compliments of the CIA, the neocons, and the Department of Defense.
Well, all that's
good. U.S. Israeli citizens and the Mossad to draw the United States into the Middle East, to take out the modern Arab states that served as a counterbalance to Israel's domination of the entire region, and eventually to confront the Persian nation of Iran.
But what if I told you all of that was scripted? It was scripted to happen no matter what, so that your concern about it is all wasted time. Meaning that you can stand on the outside of all of these events without any concern in your heart for it, but you can just observe it happening. And you can also see it coming, because you can see the numbered code I told you about. I call it the 7 code, the idea of the Zion, or the mind. A lot of what you'll find is that the people that are controlling this narrative, war and peace, all those ideas are what most people would call Masons, or groups like those type groups that have a certain mystical aspect to what they call mysteries. All of those mysteries, however, are just camouflage for a fallen system of fallen light or fallen ideas. Meaning that if I can take a populace of otherwise free human beings with free minds who love enjoyment, that's what we want to do. That's our proper state is joy. It's not fear, okay? See, Christ gave me the spirit of joy and truth, not of fear. So I fear nothing. However, most fear for their lives daily. Therefore, if they're fearing for their lives daily, they haven't lived a day in their life, unfortunately. And that's too bad when you think of that. So then let me tell you this, and I would hope to lift some weight off of your shoulders by this talk. I really do. Because a lot of what you are concerned about is just a boogeyman. It's just a fear in your heart and a confusion in your mind.
You mean in relation to the audience being apprehensive about
absolutely
the coronavirus?
Well, coronavirus, the idea of war, the idea of accidents, whether it be nuclear, this, that, and the other, because those technologies, as they are presented to you throughout history, don't exist. They don't exist in the way that you've been shown. All right. So a nuclear bomb is not going to, it does not do what you think it does, because it does not exist in the way you think it does. You need to get rid of that. That will not happen to you.
You're baffling me, Dave. I got to admit. Okay, I've seen so many nuclear explosions.
No, you haven't seen anything.
So many mushroom clouds.
You have seen nothing.
I encourage everyone to watch the film, Stanley Kubrick's most brilliant, Dr. Strangelove, at least once every year to remind me.
But you have not seen anything. You have seen videos. And if you actually take the time, please listen to me here. You must take yourself, your concern away, and you must look at this stuff logically. Take a look at all of the evidence that they have presented to you. And you are claiming that that's the evidence you're presenting to me as it being real. I'm saying I'm going to use that same evidence and show you that it's not real, because it's all contrived. You can see it's all just movie mockery. And in fact, there's been several times, and I'll show you this, James. There were several times in the news where CNN and other news outlets would put up video of military activity in Iraq, for example. And this one time they put out a videotape, CNN specifically. And I could see that there was a backdrop, much like an old cowboy movie, where the end of the street's actually just a painted backdrop. It's a false scene. And I said, you can see it. It was so badly done. And so I called in and I said, did you guys see that that was just a backdrop? It wasn't an actual real street. And you guys were claiming that there was a military activity happening. And then they said, oh, we didn't see that. I called the Pentagon and I actually got through to the duty desk. And I actually emailed to the duty desk that video. And I talked to the commander and he watched it with me. And he said, yeah, that doesn't look real to me. So they are presenting you with so much fake forgery and phony footage, and you are believing it because you have already allowed yourself to believe in your mind that that's possible.
Well, Dave, there are two different issues here.
Right.
There's what's presented on television, and then there's what's really going on in the world, which may or may not comport. But I take it while you're asserting that some of what was being shown in relation to the Iraq invasion was fabricated with a green screen and so forth. You're not denying that we invaded Iraq and we destroyed a lot of the country.
Yeah, controlled demolition is what war is. This. Let me explain war to you. War is controlled demolition and strategic relocation. Okay? So then this is very simple. Yes, there is destruction in war, but it's all controlled. There is troop movement in war, but it is all controlled. All right? There is strategic relocation in war, but it is all controlled. So if I have, if I'm controlling the so-called enemy, because the enemy is the other guy if you're on the other side, if I'm controlling that enemy, both side commanders are in contact. Okay, move to position C. As soon as you're in position C, I'll move to position B.
Well, Dave,
no, let me keep going just to get the full thought finished. So then it's just a controlled ballet. Okay? So if anybody, and this is very important for me to tell this to you, there is one thing that you do not want to do in this existence, and this is the only thing. The rest is all forgivable. Do not, under any circumstance, false witness death. Don't do it. I'm only going to tell you that once.
Okay.
However, so let me just finish this on the war aspect. Nobody, and if they told you this, they are lying to you. Nobody has aimed a rifle at an enemy on a battlefield and shot at them to kill them. Nobody, period. Hasn't happened. If they claim that, they are lying to you. They are, in fact, liars and spiritual murderers.
Dave, look. I'm a former Marine Corps officer.
And don't tell me that you were in war because you would be lying to me.
Look, Dave,
don't do it.
Let me finish my thought.
Uh-huh.
I've studied military history.
Mm-hmm.
We've had many great battles. The idea that they were all coordinated or controlled is frankly nonsense.
It's not nonsense.
We have,
what you just said to me.
We have better and less good generals. We have some great ones. Robert E. Lee was a great general who happened to be fighting for the Confederacy. George Patterson.
That's all just words on paper. That's all words on paper.
The Allies.
That's all words on paper. It's all words on paper. It's all words on paper. It's not true witness. No, James, I think we have to agree on something. I think we need to agree at some point that true witness is what you see with your eyes, not words that you have seen. I want to talk about true witness. Can we talk about true witness?
Even what you see with your eyes, as you were explaining about that broadcast regarding the Iraqi war, isn't to be believed.
But I saw the truth of it. What most people saw was the lie. They saw what they wanted to believe. So yes, if you look and you see the truth and you're not deceived, your eyes are yours to use. It's a sense. But if you have given yourself over wholly to the lie, and what you just told me is that you gave yourself wholly over to the stories that you have consumed.
Dave,
you consume stories.
Don't be insulting. I have studied military history. I've served.
Yeah, you studied it, but you didn't experience it for real. That's why you had
I wasn't studied. But I have.
Yeah, but had you experienced it for real, you would have said, "Dude, nothing happened."
I have plenty of friends who were, Dave. I mean, you're
no. Don't tell them about your friends. Get them in here and let them witness.
Dave, I'm very.
Let them witness to their death themselves. I'm telling you this. I'll tell you twice now. Do not false witness to death. Please.
You're coming across as detached from reality. I'm not
actually. I think you are. because you don't want to talk about real things. I'm trying to ask you to talk about true eyewitness, and you want to keep talking about what you say your friends saw or books you read.
Look, I've done scientific studies on eyewitness.
No, what have you walked outside and looked at physically? I know that you do the JFK thing a lot, right? What if I told you?
9/11 and Sandy Hook.
Okay, let's just stick to one thing. Let's stick to one thing. The JFK. Now, the JFK assassination was in fact a hoax. Nobody died and nobody got hurt that day. Okay, let me tell you what you see in that car. Listen, James, please,
look.
what you see in that car is a pumpkin head. It's a dummy that heads explode. It's not a real person. If you claim that anybody died or got hurt that day, you are in fact a liar and a spiritual murderer. That's a fact.
David, it's been great having you here. I have some problems with.
No, you don't. You just want to spiritual murder people with your lies instead of talking the truth of Christ. That's the problem here.
I'm really sorry.
So we can talk about, let's say, the plane of Earth you live on. It's a level plane with deviations called depth and elevation, for example. That's where you live. The universe you live in is the shape of the human eye. You live on the flat part. The stars, the sun, the moon, they are just lights in the sky. They're just lights in the sky. There's no space to travel to. They're just lights in the sky. They're to tell you the times and the seasons. The sun gives you the time of day, the moon gives you the time of month, and the stars give you the time of year. That's what they're used for. If anybody tells you they go off into space in a spaceship, they're lying to you, because space travel does not exist. It has never existed.
Dave, do you agree that the hours of the day are defined by the rotation of the Earth on its axis?
No, I don't. I don't.
Or that month by the transit of the around Earth?
I'll explain it to you quite simply.
Or the year by the transit of the orbit of Earth around the sun?
No, that's not true. Take a clock right off the wall. Lay it on your desk. If you notice the minute hand and the hour hand, how they rotate in a full circle around that piece, change that for the sun and the moon. All right? One rotates the full day around, one rotates the full month around. It's the same thing. Same exact thing. Anything mathematically can be explained to you in a what's called a sphere or even a circle on a piece of paper. Both can use the same formulas and numbers to kind of trick you, meaning that I can prove something on a sphere the same way I can prove it on a flat piece of paper. It's just numbers. It's not truth. It's not your eyeballs. In Central California, I made what's called a land telescope across the Interstate 5. You'll know there's like little ramps that go up and over the road. For overpasses, they call it.
I was born in Pasadena, grew up in Southern California.
Yeah. So go up I-5. You know in the Central Valley how there's little overpasses just for the little country roads to go over? Anyways, they're slightly curved like this, okay? So what you do is you go up the road about a half a mile until where you're at is even with the top of that hump. As you look over beyond that, so you're a half a mile back here. If you look over that, there's going to be a mirage that's formed here. That's basically the reflecting lens of what would you call a telescope. It creates the same effect. Now, as you zoom in on your camera, everything in the distance that's above that level, let's say you're at 30 feet, for example, everything above that will pop up into view. It will almost like a pop-up book. And then you'll say, wow, I can see all this stuff. You snap a picture, you take a still of that, you lay it out on Google Earth, and you say, okay, this signpost is 15 miles away. You can see it plain as day. You see another, like a water tower, you see that it's 25 miles away. You see another thing that's 30-some miles away, all the way out to the foothills and to the mountain. So you're actually seeing what I call a stacking effect, because everything, yeah, go ahead.
So Dave, you're telling me you also believe in flat Earth?
Well, no. Here's by my eyewitness. This is what I know by my eyewitness and my test, which I was just explaining to you. The place that we live, is a plane that has deviations called depth and elevation. That's period. That's my definition. That's through physical observation and tests, which I've put up online for people to study. And here's the thing about studying is when I present something to you, I allow you to actually take it, study it, download it, and to prove it, or guess what, disprove it by test. So that is the true definition.
Dave, listen.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Give me in the next few minutes the distillation of what you'd like to say. Okay.
No, we're just talking the truth about any matter you'd like. What do you want to know the truth of?
Well, you've blown me away, Dave. Honestly, I mean, I'm a student of the history of science and of the philosophy of science, and your denial about the rotation of Earth or the moon around Earth or Earth around the sun has really thrown me for a loop.
You just said science, though. I just gave you the idea of real science, which was my true observation. I even told you out of my mouth how you can do it, how you can actually repeat that same experiment and get those same results. And then you have to logically ask yourself, if I do this experiment and get these results, what does that mean then? What does it logically mean? It doesn't matter what I feel or what I want the truth to be. It's what your experiment and your evidence proves it to be. And what it proves the Earth to be is a plane with deviations called depth and elevation. That's it.
Dave. I'm not going to debate here. I mean, I've done other shows with expert surveyors and all that. I've even produced a video. The idea of a flat Earth is physically preposterous. It's not.
It's not actually.
Dave, I'm going to give you like 5 more minutes, and then we're going to part ways because it's really. I want you to have 5 more minutes, though, right down to the bottom of the hour. Go ahead, say what you'd like to say here. I brought you on. I want to give you that opportunity.
Okay, here's the simplest thing to understand, and this is for people who are still stuck in the idea of the fallen system or the lie. You're going to notice that when you look at news stories, you're going to see a numbered or a coding system. You're going to see when a news story is just first coming onto the scene, it's going to be 7 coded, meaning there's going to be 7. Am I still here? Okay. Okay, great. Yeah, there's going to be, it's going to be 7 coded. So you're going to see 7s within the first paragraph, 3 7s. It's always going to be 7, 7, 7, or 21 into the 3. That's how it always is. Once you see that, you know it's a hoax story. It's going to keep going. Now, once you understand this truth, it's called the mind computer. I have a couple of videos where you can see this. You can decode all these stories. Once you see, let's say 5 or 6 are a lie, you walk back from that and say, if these 5 or 6 things are a lie, then what else is not right? And if all these people within these stories are participating in a known lie, what do they know and why don't they know it's a lie? And then you start looking at personalities. And if you have a personality who is just stubborn, who are just stiff-necked, and they don't want to see the truth even when it's plainly presented to them in a fashion in which that they claim to believe in. Like people claim to believe in science, quote unquote. I present them science. I present them experiments with it that they can physically reproduce. That's science. I present to them the proof, and not only that, the results of my experiments that they can reproduce. That's science. I thought that these people believed in that. But when it doesn't produce the results that they thought or that they had fallen in love with during their schooling years, then they get mad at science because I'm presenting true science, which is also possible for anyone else to do. It's just observation with your eyes, with your fingers, with your lips, with your nose. It's looking at what's around you. And I would also like to go into one more thing about social distancing and the reason why it's a negative effect on people.
Go ahead.
This is why that's really important and why it's wrong. Because we are creatures of touch. We like each other's touch. And the reason being is if you take your fingertip and you look at it and you touch anything, you're going to leave a fingerprint. You're going to leave your existence on everything you touch. So if I make you, James, if I make you a cake, and I love you because I want to make you a cake, I want you to enjoy this cake. When I'm making it for you and I'm kneading that bread, my existence is going into that dough because my fingerprints are on it. So when you receive that and you consume it, you eat it, you consume my joy and essence. You receive that good energy from me. So when I touch you and I shake your hand and I say, hey, good morning, and we have that connection every morning, it's there. It's like, dude, and you're like, okay, great. Now I'm feeling good this morning because my guy's there, the guy I feel good I'm with. Now, once that connection is taken away, you see that those connections are taken away and people start to become a little bit, I don't know, antsy, or they're going to start to feel alone. They're going to start to feel isolated because people like to, to hug. They like to say, hey, how you doing? Like I say, I always like to say this. People wonder why cookies don't taste like their mother made. Well, because their mother is not the one who's with her finger putting it onto the cookie dish, because your mother's essence is on each cookie that she puts onto it. That's why no other person can make a cookie that tastes like your mother's, because her essence is not there. Okay.
Tell us more about where we can find your views online and elsewhere, Dave.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, just I'll send you a link if you don't mind to just my YouTube channel, which is Dave J. I talk about anything you want. I also have a Discord channel which you can join, and it's just an open forum where you can talk to a bunch of people from all over the place.
Tell us the name of it.
Oh, okay. It's just Discord. If you email me at davej channel11@gmail.com, I'll get you in touch with.
Is that all? That's all one word. davej11@gmail.com. Is that?
Yes.
Are any of the letters capitalized?
No, James. It'll get to me that way.
davej channel11@gmail.com. Dave, that's excellent. And how often do you appear on your channel?
Oh, I have, whenever I feel inspired, to be quite honest with you, whenever I have something to say, because I found, James, that if you just say things just to say things, you kind of become like a banging gong. But if you say things just when it's inspired, it's going to be worth more. There's more currency in it.
Are you also active in a specific church then? I mean, you have a very...
No, I'm not. I do my own thing because most people don't. Most people are still lost in the system. Most people are still actually what Jesus spoke about, walking on water. The idea of water is the noise of the world. It's the idea of all these stories trying to drag you into fear. See, I walk on that water. I walk above all that, and my only job here is to spread that light and for people to say, man, what is that light? And kind of swim towards it. And then once they get towards me, I'm like, hey, I'm telling you the truth here. Just try it for a day and see what you think, right? It's not going to cost you nothing if you want to give it up tomorrow. Don't worry about it. But just try it for a day, and you're going to see that your life's going to change for the better.
Well, Dave, this has been extremely interesting and unexpected. J Channel 11 Gmail. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Dave. Very unexpected experience. Thanks a lot.
All right, James. Talk to you soon, buddy.
You got it.
All right.
Well, that was a surprise to me. I have someone I'm going to have to consult about this who recommended Dave for the show, because this really was not what I had anticipated would be the case. Meanwhile, I want to bring you up to date about some of the latest research regarding the coronavirus.